Hey everybody, it is our last time together this week on our unit on figurative language. Again, we've been exploring SOL 6.5H, in which you are identifying and analyzing an author's use of figurative language in a text. Today, we're going to talk again as a big review why authors use figurative language, what are the seven different types of figurative language, and we're going to bring them all together, all seven today, and see if we can identify them within a text. So let's review those terms and definitions that we've been going through all week. Alliteration, a repetition of the same sound at the beginning of an adjacent or closely connected words. The wet waterfall whooshed by, right? Hyperbole is that exaggerative thing. You took forever to clean your room. Not really take you forever. An idiom is an expression, like break your leg, or you get more flies with honey. An onomatopoeia is the words whose meaning is suggested by their sounds, like bam, crack. You find those in a lot of comic books. Personification is which we try to attribute to an animal or an object, something that is human. Simile is a figurative speech that uses like or as to make a comparison. She was as light as a feather. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this story to you. Of course, you can pause the video and read and follow along, and then we're going to do a little assessment of what you did. Then at the end of this, I'm going to give you an extra assessment that you can do on your own time that also has the answers to it, just for that secondary practice of bringing all of this together. All right, but right now, it's story time. Joey's surprise adventures. Joey was devastated when his parents told him he would be staying at his grandparents' house for a whole week while they went away on vacation. He loved his grandparents, but he wanted to spend the last week of his summer vacation playing video games with his friends and splashing around the neighborhood pool. He just knew his grandpa would want to spend every day watching CNN News while his grandma sat on the couch knitting her latest blanket. Before we go, you need to do some cleaning. Your room is a pig pen, his mom said. Once you're done cleaning, start packing your suitcase. We're leaving in the morning. As Joey's parents dropped him off at his grandparents' house the next day, they each gave him a big hug. This is the worst summer of my life, he grumbled into his mom's ear. Oh, Joey, replied his mom, stop making mountains out of molehills. You might actually enjoy yourself while you're here. Maybe they're right, Joey thought to himself. He smiled as his grandpa patted the couch next to him, motioning for Joey to sit beside him. He knew he had to be polite and treat his grandparents with respect. After all, his grandpa was a big teddy bear, and his grandma was as sweet as a peach. He would try to relax and have a good attitude. You better get a good night's sleep tonight, said his grandpa. Your grandpa is taking you to an amusement park tomorrow. Joey's eyes lit up like fireflies. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Nellie, you let the cat out of the bag, accused his grandpa. It was supposed to be a surprise. His grandma's face turned as red as a rose. Oh dear, I'm so sorry, his grandma replied. As Joey laid in bed that evening, he couldn't fall asleep. He listened to the wind whip wildly outside his window as he imagined what his first trip to an amusement park would be like. The next day, the sun smiled down on Joey and his grandparents while they had the time of their lives. They raced from ride to ride and challenged each other to keep their hands in the air as roller coasters zoomed down the giant hills. The amusement park was only the beginning of Joey's adventurous week. Every day, his grandparents had another fun surprise planned for him. On Tuesday, they went putt-putt golfing and had ice cream afterwards. On Wednesday, they went to a neighborhood pool party. On Thursday, his grandparents took him to the Children's Museum. And on Friday, they checked into Great Wolf Lodge. Each day, Joey was fascinated to hear his grandpa's stories about the time he served in the military. Joey had no idea his grandpa was a hero. Joey didn't want the week to end, but when Sunday came around, his parents were back to pick him up. What was your favorite part of your summer vacation? His mom asked as she prepared him for the new school year on Sunday evening. Oh, that's easy, replied Joey. My surprise adventures with Grandpa and Grandma. Thank you for bringing me there. This was the best summer of my life. Okay. That sounds a sweet little story, right? All right, so Joey's surprise adventures. All right, so we're gonna match the definition to the type of figurative language. All right, so a comparison of two things using like or as. Is that a simile, an idiom, or a metaphor? Simile, that's right. Number two, the comparison of two things without using like or as a statement. That's right, metaphor. Number three, a phrase or expression that has a figurative meaning, much different from its literal meaning. That's right, idiom. Remember, like break your leg. Break a leg. All right, let's go down to these. A human quality being given to something that is not human. Is that personification, onomatopoeia, or alliteration? Personification, right, because it's a person. You're giving it person qualities. All right, the repetition of the beginning sounds and words that are close together. Is that onomatopoeia or alliteration? Alliteration, right. The wind whooshes. And then, of course, lastly, a word that mimics the sound it's referring to is an onomatopoeia, which is like a bang, pop. All right. Number 7, what type of figurative language is used when the author says, Joey's eyes lit up like fireflies? Is it personification, a simile, or a metaphor? My clue here is to look for clue words. Think about this for a second. What are the two clue words for a simile? Like or as. Does this sentence include like or as? It does. So the answer to number 7 is simile. Number 8, Joey's mom claimed he was making mountains out of molehills. What is the meaning of this phrase? A, Joey was making big hills in the sand outside. B, Joey was making a big deal out of a small issue. Or C, Joey was playing with molehills in his backyard. B, Joey was making a big deal out of nothing. All right, so what kind of figurative language is that, making mountains out of molehills? Is that an idiom? Is that a saying that we use? Is it personification, giving it human qualities? Or is it a simile in which it compares two things using like or as? So what do you think, A, B, or C? That's right, it's an idiom. It's a saying that we say. Nobody's actually out there making mountains out of molehills. I'm not sure I've ever actually seen a molehill in my real life. All right, which of the following phrases from the story is an example of alliteration? As sweet as a peach, Grandpa was a big teddy bear, or wind whipped wildly? What do you think? That's right, it's C, wind whipped wildly. All those sounds close together. All right, number 11, Joey's mom said, your room is a pigsty. What type of figurative language did Joey's mom use to describe his room? Is it a metaphor, a simile, a personification? It's a metaphor. We know this because it doesn't have like or as in it with a simile. And we're not giving anything human traits. We've got a room and we've got a pig. So, and a sty. So it's definitely a metaphor. It's a statement. What is the meaning of the phrase, your room is a pig pen? There were pigs playing in the mud in Joey's bedroom? Doubt it. There was fencing around Joey's bedroom to keep the pigs enclosed? I don't think so. His room was extremely messy. That is the one. All right. Which of the following is an example of personification used in the story? As red as a rose, let the cat out of the bag, or the sun smiled down? So which of these gives a human quality to something? That's right, it's the C, the sun smiled down. All right, 14. Why does the author describe Joey's grandpa as a big teddy bear rather than describing him as lovable or kind? A, his grandpa looks like a teddy bear. Ah. B, it allows the author to get the point across in an imaginative way while creating an image in the reader's mind. Or the author wanted to be humorous and make the reader laugh. The answer is B. You can definitely get a nice image of grandpa in an imaginative way. All right, if you want to go back at some point and find an example of figurative language from the story that was not used in questions 7 through 14, you are more than welcome to. All right, so this wraps up basically our lesson on figurative language this week. I do have one more story here that I am going to share with you. Ooh, where do you go? All right, it's called Detective Dimwit. And I'm just going to slowly move this so that at some point you can go back and read and see if you can't identify the figurative language that is in bold. Is it an alliteration? Is it a simile, a metaphor? So this is Detective Dimwit. All right, so now I'm going to scroll down so you can check your answers. Don't look at this yet if you have not finished and need to rewind. I'm sure you did great. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you this week, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer.